What's up, y'all? It's your boy Niner Faithful. How's everybody doing? Hope everyone is having a blessed week or had a blessed week at least. And thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Niner Faithful Radio, where we're going to go over the Niners come from behind, win to not only beat LA, but to sweep LA for the first time since 2016. That kind of funny to think about. Two times in our history, we've been 2-14, and two times they both came. Both of our wins have came against the same team. And 04 it was the Cardinals, and 2006, kind of funny little tidbit of Niner history. But we're going to go ahead and break down and just review over a couple things before we really pretty much go into the playoffs. Like, obviously, there's still one more game left in the regular season. But, I mean, if we're all realistic, the playoffs really start this week. But before we get started today, I'd like to remind everybody you can find this show as a podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play Music, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spreaker, Blueberry, TuneIn, or CastBox. Please make sure you subscribe, rate, and review. It really helps the show out. If you're watching on YouTube, please make sure to hit that like button, the subscribe button, and the bell notification bell. So you will be fine. We go live. Last but not least, visit NinerFaithfulRadio.com to read all our blogs from Nothing But Niners. And Sports Elite, get the show notes to all episodes. Listen to all of our interviews with former Niners. And watch This Date in Niner History, as well as see all our advertising and sponsorship packages. Again, that website is NinerFaithfulRadio.com. Also, shop Niner Faithful for efficiently licensed 49ers gear from shop49ers.com, NFL.com, Fanatics.com, Target.com, eBay, and much more. Go ahead and visit NinerFaithfulRadio.com or like us on Facebook and Instagram at Niner Faithful Radio Shop and Twitter at Niner Faithful RS. Now, also we have our poll of the week. Do you think the touchdown against Atlanta should have counted? And we actually have, okay, I was looking at the wrong way. I was like, we have a tie, it's 50-50. But no, we do not have a tie. It is not 50-50. Facebook. Ooh, but we do have our first ever tie from Facebook and Instagram, where it is both the same, which is really interesting. 63% of people say it was a touchdown. 37% say no. After watching it again and actually having somebody physically circle the ball and draw, I will say, I guess it was a touchdown. I mean, I'm over it. It's 2 weeks ago. So, we've already played a whole other game and getting ready for another game. I just thought I would, give the updates to the poll. But of course, you can, as always, participate in our weekly poll for prizes. On Facebook and Twitter each week, we will have a weekly poll question where all you have to do to win prizes is vote and like us on Facebook or follow us So 34-31 was the final score, as everybody knows. It was a very, very close. It was really, honestly, I would dare say it's one year. I mean, overall, from both sides, offense and defensively, and I'm not saying the defense. But like the Saints game was nobody played defense in that game. This game was more well game because there were some great defensive plays on both sides of the ball. I mean, six. Bam. By the way, Bam, his pick six, man, changed the game. It really. I mean, that gave us the lead going into halftime, and that was my biggest. I don't want to say fear, worry, and I was like, if because I think what helps us win so much this year, best at scoring. I believe I read said we're third in the NFL in points within the final going into halftime. And what that does is it allows you to be able to go up by at least 6 points without combat that. And so, for example, now we all know what Garoppolo threw the pick coming out of for the start of the second half, but we were up by 3 at that point. Or sorry, yeah, we were up by 3. And so if we would have scored a touchdown, now all of a sudden we're up by 10, and can't wall yet. And so our defense has a 10-point lead. And in theory, it didn't really turn out this way, but in theory, that's when our pass rush could really start to get active. Yeah. With that being said, it obviously didn't happen, but I felt like I was like, if we can go into halftime with the lead and getting the ball back to start the second half, I really thought that was what was going to win. And I was worried. I was like, if we're down and that drive results in a field goal, I don't feel as secure. But I think if we break this down, we're going to keep this episode short this week. But if we break this down into 2 simple elements, positives and concerns going forward. Positives was Robbie Gould. I mean, he was clutch. That was a chip chop 33-yard field goal, essentially an extra point. But I still had it back. And I think the group text that Adam, for those who have been watching the show a long time, my normal co-host Adam and I are part of a group text with Nick from Nothing But Niners and a few other people. Biggest thing that we all agreed on was that Robbie's finding a rhythm, and there could be possibly nothing greater than Robbie Gould finding a rhythm going into the playoffs. So this concern, this is twofold. I think it's the offensive interior. Let me be specific about this. Interior offensive line and the pass rush. I think what we've saw the last couple weeks is that, earlier in the year, we were a lot healthier on the D line. Our secondary high level, well, that's because our pass rush was. And now I think that all the people who instilled fear in the offseason are now starting to see a scenario where that turns into a nightmare because the pass rush. I don't want to say has been non-existent. I mean, we still had. Let me go ahead and get it out of my notes. Eric Armstead himself. Yeah, this will pretty much sum it up. Despite the 49ers not resting us track on the day, Cisco managed to pressure Golf on 20 of his 50 dropbacks, 40%. So that might not be as quite high as a rate as we had early in the season, but that's still pretty high. Biggest is that going into the playoffs and next week, the main, I guess, belief that a lot of us had why we were a championship team was, look, quarterbacks can't hurt you if they're on their ass. So now maybe we're starting to see a little bit of a crack in their armor that other teams can exploit. So then people would ask you, well, then Niner faithful, where do you stand on the Niners heading into the playoffs? Well, if you look back to what I said throughout the offseason, is I said, look, this game, the division is going to come down to that game in Seattle. Now, I thought it was going to be a scenario where it was winner go home. Like, the loser doesn't make the playoffs, winner makes the playoffs. So I didn't foresee a wild card team coming out of the NFC West. I did say the Niners might make a wild card, but that's the only thing that surprised me. And so I said, depending on how we're playing, going into especially that last game in Seattle, if we and we're playing our best football, I like our chances. Now, we got in. Are we playing our best football? No. Do I still like our chances? I say this is how I see it. We beat the Seahawks on Sunday. I see it like this. Beat the Seahawks on Sunday. I think we're going to the Super Bowl. Be able to take advantage of not having to travel on home field. If we have to attack it as a wild card, I think this team's an NFC Championship game at least. I mean, like if regardless of if we fall short of the NFC Championship game, I'm disappointed. I expect us to be in the NFC Championship game. Now some things would have to break right. Obviously, if we have to, the wild card, that second game is a little touchy depending on where we have to go. But I would be disappointed if we didn't make the NFC Championship game, even as a wild card. Now, I'm definitely it's a failure as a season, and I'm pissed if we don't win at least a playoff game, even as a wild card. If we can go to beat Philly or Dallas, I'm sorry. That's yeah. Let's not even get into there. But we win that number one seed. I really think we're a Super Bowl team because I like the bye week to pair. We're at Levi's. Levi's is going to be insane because there's never been playoff games there, and this franchise has been starved for this. And I know too many people that are going to be at that game that will go psycho that will scream until their lungs collapse. Not to say that that stadium is not going to be lit. So, winning 2 games to get to the Super Bowl, I mean, very difficult. It's not easy by any means. But I'm sorry, I have to have my faith in the team to get there. Now, you get there, of course, I believe the Niners win if we get there. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's a 50-50 shot. So, I mean, hey. So, I definitely think that this is at least an NFC Championship team. And so, do I believe that we're going to go in and beat Seattle? Yeah, I do. I do believe that we'll go in and beat Seattle. I do believe this is the year. Carson is a huge injury. I would like to think we're going to get Jaquiski Tart back. Getting K1 back was huge. Getting Sherman back was huge. We left this Yams game relatively healthy, and happy. Yeah, I like the Red and Gold's chances in this one. If you recall that before Reston Richburg had to leave the game with a hand injury, that game really looked like it was about to be a blowout. Now, you could make an argument of, turnover right away, puts this easy field touch. And that's how games get out of it. They've done that to us so often. It's not even funny. So I don't want to hear about that. It was looking like it was going to be a blowout. Now, I don't believe that we'll blow them out in Seattle. And if we do, it'll be like maybe a garbage time touchdown that makes the score seem a little lopsided than it actually was. But it'll be a close game. But I don't think it'll be a blowout just because, they're at home. Even though they're 4-3. This would be a 500 record. I believe that's the only time that they haven't had a winning record since Pete Carroll took over as coach. So I like our chances because I think what we're learning about Jimmy Garoppolo is, look, is he perfect? No. Is it poetry in motion? No. Is he a top 5 quarterback? Maybe fifth. I would say he's about the top 7 quarterback, which is pretty damn good. So, but it's the mantra that we've been saying all week, and I think we really saw it this week, and we've been seeing it all season. Keep the game close, and more times than not, Jimmy Garoppolo is going to make the plays necessary. That's why we call him Jimmy G Cool. And so, yeah, it's a little scary because it's Russell Wilson's bitch ass. And, we all know that, the history with him. But really, that game in overtime, like, I get so frustrated about that game because I'm like, look, Russell Wilson should have cost him that game. He threw that Drake Greenlaw pick. Honestly, I really thought that was game over. And so he's not so superhuman now. And so not having D Ford, yeah, that'll be more difficult. Not having Ronnie Blair, who, of course, as we know, season ended sacking Russell Wilson. But I just believe that this Niner team's different. And I believe Jimmy Garoppolo just had things that Cap didn't. Cap didn't have that clutch gene inside of him. And, Jimmy clearly does. It'll all play itself out on Sunday. Before we get out of here, I want to say a very, very Merry Christmas to everyone. That's why we're doing the show a day early. Please, everybody, be safe. Have a blessed holiday. God bless you and yours. Happy birthday, Jesus. And I shall see y'all next week, hopefully as division champs. Till then, faith, love, and happiness. Go Niners. Merry Christmas, y'all.